Hello, I'm Mona Santana. This is my daily gratitude list where I list and talk about 5 things I'm grateful for that hopefully you can relate to as well. Number 1, I'm grateful for video chat. Do you know how crazy it is that we can do video chat now? I mean, years ago, it was just like this crazy dream. I remember watching some of these movies from back in the 60s and 70s, like the spy movies, where they had these crazy video chat, shoe or whatever. And it was just this idea that was just so foreign and like, oh my God, can you imagine, Like that's how, people were viewing the idea of having video chat. We have that now. We have the capacity to see someone and talk with somebody thousands of miles away or next door. But I think it's pretty incredible if you think about it, that, we've actually managed to make this a reality. I like to use it sometimes if I've been away for a long time and I miss my mom or whoever. It's a pretty great and really just a phenomenal feat to have accomplished video chat. So even though there's just so many things that are technologically far more advanced than that, I still am grateful for it because it's amazing. Number 2, I'm grateful for cinnamon. I love cinnamon. Do you guys like cinnamon? I like the smell of cinnamon more than most things. It smells so good. I mean, it's really like an enchanting smell, isn't it? Just that scent of cinnamon. It's unbelievable. Plus, it's really good for you. And I think a lot of times people associate it with Christmas time, at least in the United States. I don't know where you're from, where you're watching this from, but we tend to use cinnamon a lot in baked goods in the United States, like cinnamon rolls, and it just smells so good. I love cinnamon. I also know that in India, I think they tend to use cinnamon a lot in savory foods, and I love that too because, I love Indian food. It's so good. So I just really am super grateful for cinnamon, and I don't know, maybe you can relate too. But number 3, I'm grateful for the full moon. I love a full moon. I think for whatever reason, there's something very enchanting about a full moon. And I think it's also been a source of a lot of different types of art. Just because it has a certain feeling and a certain look and I don't know what it is about a full moon, but some people say they can feel it when the moon is full, and it's just it's not just the moon, because obviously you can be grateful for the moon because it's something that illuminates the night, which I love. But the full moon specifically, I think it has a very distinctive feel about it. And number 4, I'm grateful for Aesop. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? Aesop. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it, but I've always said Aesop because that was the way it was pronounced when I was a kid. My teacher in 4th grade, Mrs. Lockey, she gave us Aesop Fables books. So that's what Aesop was, a fabulist, which sounds totally different than a person who writes fables. But I'm sure he was fabulous too. I don't know. He lived in 500 or 600 BC. What's amazing about that is that he wrote these stories, fables, way back then, and they still resonate. We talk about them all the time. They have completely permeated our lives in ways that you can't even fathom. He wrote fables like the stories of The Boy Who Cried Wolf was arguably his most famous one. The Fox and the Grapes, The Goose That Laid the Golden Egg, The Tortoise and the Hare. I mean, there's just so many of them that it would be impossible for me to list them all here. But if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. But I particularly remember when I was in 4th grade that the one about the fox and the grapes was the one that for whatever reason I was drawn to. I loved the idea of this little fox who was trying to jump as high as he possibly could to reach these beautiful grapes, but he couldn't reach the grapes. And he tried jumping and jumping, and he gave up. And he just decided, the grapes are probably sour anyway, which is where we get the phrase sour grapes. And I think that's pretty incredible that came from, that long ago. I mean, that's bonkers, right? But so I love this story because I think it sort of highlighted the idea that you shouldn't give up, because the fox could have continued to try to get the grapes. He could have gotten a stool. He could have climbed the side of the fence or whatever. I mean, I really don't know what the heck what else he could have done, but he could have done something, because where there's a will, there's a way. And I think that's kind of the the great thing about that story. And so that just like was ingrained in my head, and you know, and I carry it to this day because I always feel like that. Like if there is a will, there is a way. And so I kind of love the story, you know, these parables. And for me, it was the fox and the grapes that really resonated, but there are just so many others. And so I'm really grateful for Aesop for having somehow been able to affect our lives this way, because you know what? In his time, he was actually a slave, and he managed to make this amazing mark in the world. And so, you know, he really lived his purpose, and it was so long ago. Isn't that crazy? That's amazing. Anyway, I'm moving on. Number 5, I'm grateful for fear. And I know that sounds completely weird to say I'm grateful for fear, but I am, because if you think about it, fear is the thing that protects you from jumping off the side of a building because you're afraid you're gonna die, obviously. But so many other things that, you know, we have fear. It's just ingrained in us, but it protects us. But it also sometimes it keeps us from doing things that we want to do. So it creates a certain challenge that if you're conscious enough to realize that you're rationalizing your fear and making it acceptable, then it's gotten the best of you. But if you realize that your excuses are just the lies that your fears have sold you, then you have used this fear as a catalyst to get you to do the thing that you want to do, which is pretty incredible. So I'm grateful for fear because I think in endless times in my life, I have used it as a catalyst to do stuff that I wanted to do. And I'm encouraging anybody out there, if there's something that you want to do, do not let your fear rationalize rationalize for you to not do the thing. So just use it as a catalyst if you can. Anyway, that's just my advice. So anyway, I want to thank you so much for joining me today, and I want to thank you if you've subscribed, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. I would really appreciate it, and I hope you're having a lovely day. I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.